Okay, episode 24 is here. So let me show you what the completed circuit board looks like. And now we're going to be able to start working on this radio again. So here's the circuit card, just like I showed you. And you'll notice that I drilled some holes here to run the wires for cable management and also to stop any stress on these connections. It looks really good. The components are nice and flat to the board. I did indicate the original part number of the couplet, of course my initials and date. And on the back we've got everything soldered correctly, and I've put a coat of clear nail polish on all those traces. I've done a little more research and realized that I could tin these boards after you're done. That's something that's commonly done to prevent the oxidation, so I'll look at that for the next one. But for this particular board we're in great shape, and we've got all of our wires color coded, and I've coded the schematic so I know exactly which wires are which. I've got that right here. So connection number 1 is red, 2 is white, 3 is black, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So the next step is going to be to put a piece of that heat shrink stuff on here, and we're good to go. Alright, let's do that and we'll start working on this radio again. Thanks. Okay, our couplet's done. There we go. Everything's neat. Wires hanging out in one spot. Strain relief. It's all good. Let's get it installed. Alright, so here we are a week later, and we're playing with the old Hallicrafter 5R41 again, and as you can tell, we have audio. The thing really required a huge alignment just to get anything out of it, and I'm still going through it, and I'll cover how I've done that later. Essentially, let me show you where I am. Here's my antenna. Still drifting a little bit. So basically, what I've had to do, if you look at the schematic, this resistor here, which is supposed to be 50 ohms, coming right off of the diode, this radio required 105 ohms in order to get filament voltage. Now it's still a little bit high. I'm going to probably experiment and probably go up to 120 ohms, because my filament voltage at the moment is 7.4. It really needs to be 6.4. So I'm going to go change that resistor and get it back to where it was. And then I'll come back and we'll see if this thing will work a little bit better. So let me go do that and I'll be back. Okay, we've got our resistance dialed in. You'll see that our filament voltage is right at 6.4 where it needs to be. And I've got this this power resistor decade box. This is a Clarostat right here. And the way this works is here's your ×1 scale, ×10, ×100, and then there's your 1K, 10K, and 100K. Goes up to a meg. So I have it dialed in at the moment at 180 ohms. Okay? Just like that. If I take this 10 scale and go to 170 ohms, you can watch the meter. Goes up a little bit, comes back down when we go to 110, and if I go up to 190, it's a little too low. So we're going to go at 180. This box is really cool, good for this kind of stuff. I've never used it on the video before, but works really well. So I still have audio, but it does seem weak. But I do have the speaker covered and that kind of thing, and I need to go under here and under the chassis and play a little bit more. But at least I know that I'm in the ballpark, right? I still have to align it and get things dialed in a little bit better. And what I'll do is I'll put my my audio signal generator. It's a little bit hotter there. I'll put my my signal generator on here at 455 and you know, turn the dial all the way down and then test it and tune it and get it where it needs to be. But we're close. So I'm going to stop the video here. So I don't even remember how much I've done before this. So I'm going to take a peek at that, and if it may be a short video that I put up. But tomorrow I'm going to spend talking about what I've done underneath the chassis, some of the problems that I've had, how I overcame them, and I'll give you a tour of what the chassis looks like underneath. So that's the plan for now, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. I'll be back. One more thing I want to show you. Before I decided to wrap this up, I decided to plug it into just the wall and see what my filament voltage looks like. And you can see here it's low. So that's a little test there. If the radio's working and you're not smoking anything, and you're about to choose a resistor type, plug it in the wall and see what you get. So I actually know I'm a little too high, so I'm going to dial this back. There's 170, 160, 150, and the radio actually calls for 6.8. I just looked at the schematic. 6.9, 6.8. So we're at 120 ohms. So that's going to be the ticket. Let me see what happens if we go down to 110. A little too hot. So we're going to go to 120 ohms for this. So just a little tip here, right? If you're using a Variac and you're trying to use a decade box like this and figure out your resistance that you need coming off of that diode, that's the way to do it. So let me just recap here. So if you look at my schematic, here's my diode. Here's where the 50 ohm resistor is. That's the one I've just dialed into 120 ohms. And then everything else is straightforward. Okay? And you'll hear she's playing a little bit better. Sounds alright, right? It's not so bad. Especially since I ripped it all out and put it back together. Anyway, we'll be back in the next video with a cleanup of the undercarriage, and I'll show you some stuff under there, and we'll take it from there. Alright folks, see you guys next time.